Hi everybody, this is Mr. Rittner, and I'm going to try and walk you through how to use ArcGIS to set up your SPFE, that's the Scotch Plains-Fanwood Ecosystem, boundary layer as part of your ArcGIS Bootcamp assignment. So as you can see, I'm starting off pretty simple, as far back as you can get really. I'm on the home page for Esri. Esri is the developer of ArcGIS. I'm going to log into my account. So I'm going to go ahead and select Sign In. And you're going to go ahead and input your information, kind of like I'm doing. Feel free to select Keep Me Signed In, but spoiler alert, it never does. It always makes you log in. I don't know why. We'll go ahead and sign in, and that should bring us to our organization's homepage. You should see something similar to this. We're actually not going to work on the homepage. We're actually going to go directly into our map. So I'll go ahead and select that. And we're using what I would call the new map viewer, although for you guys, it's just the map viewer. They discontinued the old one, so I'm just actually recreating this tutorial for the second time to make sure that it aligns with what we're doing for class. Anyway, from here, we can see we've already have on the left-hand side, we have this menu open, and we've already entered into the sub-menu for layers, which is exactly what we want. We're going to go ahead and open up this option here for Add, and it's going to allow us to add a layer to our map. Now notice right away it opens up my content, or I guess in your case, your content. I have plenty of layers and content in my account. You shouldn't really have any at the moment. So yours should be blank. It's okay if it doesn't look exactly like mine. What we want to do is we actually don't want to be under, quote, my content. Instead, we want to open up that drop-down menu and go into my groups. So when I created your account, I should have added you into our organization's gallery page, our group, if you will, and that's where I can kind of host and post various layers and data files I want you to have access to. So what we're going to do is we're going to find, according to your instructions, we need the municipal boundaries of New Jersey. So actually we can just go ahead. I have a second screen I'm working on. If I can copy that name. And look at that, as soon as I enter it into the search bar, that pops up as my one and only option. You can actually see the little highlight there, or the little preview, I guess. It's showing the state of New Jersey as kind of a black outline. So we'll go ahead and select Add. We'll add that to our map. The map should automatically zoom in there, and you can see these are all of the municipal boundaries of New Jersey. So we're off to a great start on that front. What I need to do next, though, is I'm not interested in all of the municipalities in New Jersey. I just want Scotch Plains and Fanwood. So what I need to do is on the right-hand side of the screen, on this menu over here, I want to select my third option from the top, which is Filter. So I'll go ahead and do that, and I'm going to install a brand new filter. So I'll hit plus Add New, and it tells me, okay, great. Let's add in your filter. Now right away, it's given me here, county is Bergen. I'm not really interested in county data, although it's kind of cool. You can see it's sort of faded out all of these other municipalities, and it's only focusing in on Bergen County, which is actually where I was born and grew up. But anyway, that aside, we don't want county data. Instead, we're going to hit the drop-down menu, and we want to select name, as in the name of the municipality. So from this entire data file, that's where we're going to be focusing our filter on. And now it's telling us, okay, I'll filter for anything where the name is Washington Township. Again, interesting and cool, we can see all the various municipalities that have the name of Washington Township, but that's not what we really want. Let's go ahead and instead, from your instructions here, we'll go ahead and do Scotch Plains Township. And so you can see, if I zoom in a little bit, there we go. Scotch Plains Township has now been filtered out. It's the only one that's going to be displayed out of the entire, data file, or I guess in this case, boundary layer. But that's not the only one we want. We want to add a second filter. So we'll add plus new again and switch away from county to name because we also want to have Fanwood. Oops, help if I could spell that. And more specifically, it's Fanwood Borough. Now, when I enter that in, I know I've entered it correctly, and yet now I have nothing filtered on my screen. In fact, the whole thing has sort of been grayed out. What's going on there? Did I do something wrong? The answer is no. Actually, everything's going really well. At the top here, you'll notice that it says show features when all of the following are true. Well, there is no municipality that's called Scotch Plains-Fanwood Borough, or Scotch Plains Township Fanwood Borough, so the computer doesn't know what to do. Instead, we want to switch this from all of the following are true to any of the following are true. And so now it'll automatically isolate any municipality that is labeled as Scotch Plains Township or Fanwood Borough, and just like that, we have both correctly identified. So we can go ahead and select Save, and once again, we're off to a really great start here. All right. Our next target, though, is that we don't want to have our boundary layer where it has a separate, here's Fanwood and here's Scotch Plains. We actually want one ecosystem boundary that kind of unites both of the municipalities, or both of the towns, if you will. So our next step is to go ahead and dissolve the boundaries of Scotch Plains and Fanwood to form the one boundary layer for the Scotch Plains-Fanwood Ecosystem, or SPFE. In order to do that, I want to go ahead and find, on the right-hand side here, it's labeled Analysis. We're going to open up the Analysis tool option. We're going to go and find the little hammer at the top for Tools. And what we need to do is we want to do Manage Data, right? There's all these different tools we could use, like Summarize Data is opened up first. Let's close that. Let's condense that menu a little bit. We're not interested in Find Locations. Enrich Data we'll get to later. There's all these great tools we could use, but the one we're going to actually focus in on is Manage Data. If I expand that menu a little bit, I can find right here, there's a tool for dissolving boundaries. So I'll go ahead and select that as my option. Now, in order to do this correctly, we need to make sure that we're telling the computer, right, ArcGIS, which layer we want to be basically pulling our data from. So in Input Features, I need to select the layer. So I'll go ahead and select layer right here. And you'll see we only have the one layer so far, right? Actually, if I wanted to, I can back out for a moment. You can see we only have one layer on our map at the moment, which is fine. So I'll go ahead and select Municipal Boundaries of New Jersey. So the computer says, okay, I know that that's the one we're sort of playing with here. We'll leave the dissolve settings exactly as they are. That looks pretty good. We just need to enter a unique name for our finalized layer, because we're going to create a brand new one, a second layer in addition to Municipal Boundaries of New Jersey. So in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and borrow, I told you to use dissolve SPFE boundary. So I'm just going to copy that from my second screen. And then I'm going to add my initials ZR, and actually I'm going to make it ZR2 just to make sure it's unique. But you guys will also do the exact same thing, except instead of ZR, you use your initials. And if it bounces back like, oh, that name's already been taken on our organization, maybe you share initials with somebody else, just add a number. We're just trying to make a unique name. But I would keep it as dissolved SPFE boundary, and then that last piece with your initials, you'll make that kind of unique, if you will. So at this point, we're all set. We're ready to develop that new boundary layer, the dissolve SPFE boundary. We'll go ahead and select Run. Now, once I hit Run, the computer says, okay, you've gone ahead and you've submitted that. We can actually monitor our progress by selecting History up at the top of the menu option here. And you can see that it's currently running. It's kind of doing its thing. We'll see how long it takes it to do this. Sometimes it takes a few seconds. Other times it takes far, far longer. If I have to, I might kind of cut this part out. Oh, nope, that actually worked out pretty well. So we can see that now we've added in this second layer, dissolve SPFE, and the old municipal boundaries layer is also still prevalent, or still present, I guess. So I'm going to go ahead and, I'm not going to outright delete it at the moment, but I'm going to turn off the visibility. And so there it is, there's our dissolve SPFE boundary layer. Note that no longer are Fanwood and Scotch Plains, separated by that boundary. Instead, we've actually been able to unite them, which is pretty cool. So we're doing fantastic there. Now we want to go ahead and continue playing with our data a little bit. Oops. And let's go back to the home for our analysis menu, right? And what I want to do is I want to kind of enrich our data experience a little bit. We want to add in some demographic data for the towns of Scotch Plains and Fanwood. So to do that, I'm back in Analysis. I'm going to open up Tools again. But this time, instead of, try that again. I'll back out a little bit. There we go. There we go. We'll go back. So we're back to our sort of our home screen for the tools. And instead of working with summarize or even going into managing data again, we don't want to do that. We're going to go into enrich data as our menu. So we're going to hit the drop down menu and look at that. Our only option, our only tool under that menu is enrich, our enrich layer. So we can add demographic and landscape data to our input features. So we're going to go ahead and select that option. And we need to think about, first the computer's going to ask us, okay, once again, just like we did before with when we were dissolving our boundary layers, we need to think about which feature we want to pull from. What's our input layer? So instead of, don't select the municipal boundaries of New Jersey, instead select the new dissolve SPFE boundary layer, right? Because that's the one we're kind of playing with. We're building up to our final layer. So we'll select that one. And once we've told the computer, okay, this is where you're going to add the data essentially, we need to tell it, what variables we want to pull from. So we'll hit plus variable. That opens up our data browser, and you can see we have different, you can search for variable name over here, which is great, or you can go and look in the different categories. So I'm going to say this, right, to kind of make this a little bit more evergreen. Right now I'm shooting in December of 2024. And that's going to be the most recently available data. You'll pick whatever year you're working in. We always go with the most, the newest level, the most current year's worth of data. So don't just, if you get panicked and you're doing this in 2025 and you see, oh, he's doing 2024, how do I get that? Don't. You're doing 2025 data. I'm just not going to redo this every single time, essentially. And Esri, again, is the developer of ArcGIS, so that is an authoritative, trustworthy data source. When in doubt, always go with Esri as your data source, or US Census is another good one. But just to keep, kind of keep that in mind as you go shopping, if you will, for your data. Now you can see that we're looking for essentially 10 different variables here. According to your instructions, I want you to pull, first total population data. So there's a few different ways I can go about shopping. I can go into population as the category, and then I can see right here 2024 total population from Esri. So I can go ahead and just select that, and it'll add it to my selected variables, my shopping cart, if you will. Alternatively, I could search for a variable by name. There's no one definitive right way to do it, so I'll try for the second one, total households. At the end of the day, it's sort of just whatever works. You might have to go through it a few different ways, but all of the data is essentially there. So you'll note when I did it from the home screen and typed in total households, I don't have exactly what I'm looking for here. So actually what I'm going to do instead is, instead of trying to search through all of the categories, let's go to the households submenu. And there it is right there, 2024 total households, right? There's a popular variable that seems to come up a lot. We could also try searching for total households under the households variables. And we could go sort of that route if we wanted to. I'm going to assume it's one of these right here. So I would pick, 2024 key demographic indicators from Esri. And there again is that same one that we were looking for, the 2024 total households Esri. So if one method doesn't work, doesn't go the way you're hoping to, you just got to kind of be a little bit resilient and keep kind of, plugging along. Our third one here is going to be average household size. So I'll go ahead and search for that again under the household menu. There it is, again, under key demographic indicators for 2024 average household size. So I'll pick that one. Doing great so far. And our fourth variable is the average household income. So I'll just kind of stay in there. Maybe it's not under households. We'll try under income, I guess. Search for that. We can see 2024 income from Esri. I'm going to try that one out, and sure enough, there it is. So there's our fourth variable. Like I said, we're just kind of going through and finding whatever we need. So here's our fifth one. For Hispanic population, notice that, I'm going to pull from the US Census, which again is fine, but the most recently available data was 2020, which I think is totally okay as well. And I'm going to go ahead and select 2020 Hispanic population age for under 18, so we'll add that to our variable card as well. But it's always nice to be able to kind of pull whatever data you need, essentially. for a project. So I just kind of picked 6 that I thought were kind of cool and interesting. But as you can see, there's hundreds, if not thousands, of different variables we could be utilizing here. And you can kind of tailor them to whatever you need them to be for your particular project and whatnot. Sometimes you might want to explore, like, different crime rates or at risk. They used to have landscape data. I'm not sure exactly where that is. Oh, there it is. We could go into landscape and kind of pull data from there as well. But for this particular project, we're not going to go ahead and necessarily do that. Under education, I know I need bachelor's, graduates, and then I also need high school diploma. And there it is. Oh, apparently I just lost all of that data, so that's really frustrating. I guess that's what I get for showing you the landscape data. So let me try and do that again really quickly. Sorry about that, folks. Households, total households. There we go. That's always frustrating. Oops. Total population, total households, average household income, Hispanic population, diversity index, unemployment. Why do you keep moving it? Okay, so at this point, we can just double check. We have all 10 variables that we're looking for, right? Total population, total households, average household income, Hispanic population under 18, diversity index, all the way down through average household size. I've got all 10 variables. So I'm going to go ahead and click select. And once again, in my original menu here, I have all 10 of those variables ready to go. Now, before I can actually go ahead and run this, I need to make sure that I go ahead and give it sort of a unique name. So I'm going to do SPFE boundary, because this should be the last time we're creating a brand new boundary file. I'll add my initials ZR2, and then I'm going to go ahead and select run. So I'll give that a moment. Just like before, we can monitor progress in that history tab. Sometimes it takes shorter or longer amounts of time. I'll let that run for a second. See how that goes. Sometimes it only takes a few seconds. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Okay, perfect. Once again, I go back to my layers and I can say, all right, I'm going to hide the dissolve SPFE layer because I won't have the data I was hoping for. And now all that's present, or that's all that's visible, is the SPFE boundary layer that we just created with our enriched data. And sure enough, our pop-up menu is a little bit of a mess, but it does have all 10 variables that we had added previously, which is pretty cool. So we'll go ahead and close that for the time being. And I just mentioned about pop-ups, so let's actually go ahead and configure our pop-up a little bit to be cleaner and more organized. On the right-hand side of your screen, once again, find pop-ups. All right, and we want that enabled, obviously, but let's go ahead and clean this up a little bit. So under the field list, let's hit the drop-down menu, and we're going to go ahead and actually turn off all of these. We have lots of different like fields at present. Some of these we don't want. We only want to have basically the 10 pieces of demographic information we just added. So at the top, I see a lot of those are present, but towards the bottom, I've got all these other crazy ones that I don't really want. So for example, I'm going to turn off population to polygon size rating for the country. We can turn that off. ID, has data, enrich, country code, count, aggregation method I'll turn off, appointment confidence, yeah, I don't want that. Technically, this is an old one, area in square kilometers. It's not really what we added, but hey, let's leave it in. I think that's kind of cool. And just for fun, let's go ahead and make sure that our demographic data, the 10 layers or the variables we just added, let's make sure that they appear in the correct order. So I had in the list, first up should be total population. So I'll just kind of drag and drop. I just can find the 6 dots on the left-hand side, left-click, hold, and then pull them up to the front, or up to the top, I guess. I'll just go ahead and reorganize so that everything looks, pretty much what I want it to. So I'll put average household size or income there. Household size goes above that, actually. Hispanic population, good. Diversity index. And then we want unemployment data. There it is. It goes there. And then I have my bachelor's degree, graduate and professional degrees, and then high school diploma. I'm actually going to turn those off, so I'm going to get rid of them as well. So I'm going to knock it down to 7 of the variables we just did. Why am I turning that off? Well, because we're not going to display it in the caption. We are going to go ahead, at least as the raw data, we're going to go ahead and use a feature down here. We're going to add content. I'm going to create a pie chart to display that data for us. So under add content, let's select chart. And then we don't want a bar or line. We want a pie graph. We're going to select fields. And so just because we turned those different fields off didn't mean we got rid of them. So from our option menus, we're going to go down here and select grad and professional degree, bachelor's degree, and average household size. So I want all 3 of those turned on. Oops, there we go. Okay. We can go ahead and select done, so that looks good. Why? Oh, turn off average household size. That's my fault. Didn't want that in there at all. We can also play with the color a little bit. I don't necessarily love blue, orange, and green. Feel free to pick something that works for you. I kind of like this one right here. So I'll select that color scheme and hit done. Close that out. And we're going to go ahead and add our title. So we're going to call that education data. Why not? And for a caption, I think I gave you one to use. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Comparison of population 25 and over with the different degrees. So I'm just going to actually copy that from the instructions. And that'll get added in as well. So now I have these really nice pop-ups that have all of my data displayed and a nice pie chart for the comparison of our different educational data. So I'll go ahead and select done. That looks pretty good. I can close out of that menu right there. And believe it or not, we're just about done. We have one more thing to do, and then we're going to save our map and call it a day. So if we wanted to play with the actual aesthetics of the map, or rather in this case the boundary layer, what we can do is instead of working in the pop-up menu, we're done with that. Let's go to, on the right-hand side, find styles. And this will allow us to play with the actual color scheme for the SPFE boundary. So you'll see we already have our attributes set up. We don't have to worry about that. We're just working with pick a style. And we'll go to style options, right? We're still doing location single symbol. We don't want to mess with that, but we're going to do style options. And so now we have the choice, right? It defaulted to this bluish gray color, which is fine. But let's do the edit option here. We'll keep it as a basic polygon, but let's play with our fill color a little bit. I kind of like green whenever I'm working for something like this, and I want to make sure that I have a transparency of about 50%. It makes it a little easier for the reader to be able to see what's going on and get context for what's happening underneath the boundary layer, I guess, so they can kind of provide, figure out where they are in relation to landscapes and stuff like that. For outline color, I don't know. Let's do, just do like a black, I guess. I think that looks pretty good. And at this point, there's not necessarily a right or wrong when you're working with the aesthetics of it, but I would pick something that looks good and appropriate, professional, and just looks like a good job for the reader. So we'll go ahead and select done at this point. We're done with the aesthetics, so we'll close that out. And there you go. We're pretty much done here. Just a couple of minor things, and then you'll be able to submit your work through Google Classroom. So previously I had turned off, like I made invisible, my municipal boundaries of New Jersey. Let's go ahead and actually just straight up remove that. And then same thing for the dissolve SPFE boundary. I'll remove that as well. I should only have one boundary left on my finalized map. And speaking of maps, let's go ahead and save ours. So I'm going to go over to the left-hand side and select the Save and Open menu. Since this is the first time we're saving, we're going to do Save As. We're going to call this SPFE. Did I give you a special name for it? Oh, SPFE map. And again, use our initials. I would save it to an appropriate folder. I'm going to save it to my home screen, but you can, my home folder rather. But you should already have, I have a lot of folders obviously. You should save it to your ArcGIS Bootcamp folder, just for the sake of simplicity. You can add an appropriate, summary or something like that. This is my SPFE map for the ArcGIS Bootcamp assignment. Something like that, so you can remember what you're working on. Then go ahead and select Save. So give the computer a moment to do that. Remember, you always have to save manually. This is not like Google Drive where it's just backing up automatically. You should make sure you save. I probably should have saved a lot sooner just in case, but now that we're done, we did the save thing. Let's also go into Share Map. So right now it automatically defaults so that only the owner, that's you, is able to actually open up the map. We want to fix that obviously. I would say just go ahead and make it everyone, open to the public. That way when I have access, when you send me the actual URL link to your map, I'll be able to open it as well. I don't think you have to worry about any privacy concerns with this particular project. So we'll go ahead and select Save. It might ask you, that's fine. It might ask you to update sharing preferences on some other things. That's fine. Go ahead and do the update so it's now consistent throughout. And then honestly, guys, the last thing you're going to do is just go up to the top. You can copy that URL, add it to the template document in Google Classroom, and submit that. You should be all set. Anyway, folks, that's my little tutorial on how to create a this SPFE, the Scotch Plains-Fanwood Ecosystem boundary layer in ArcGIS. So I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the classroom. Bye now.